is what is affectionately known as the Steampunk 64. Now the idea for this came around in early 2018 when I discovered a little company in Staffordshire that made clocks, but not just any clock. These revolved around the use of a kind of vintage technology known as Nixie tubes. At the time I was looking for a special clock to really set off this room which was about to be renovated and refurbished, so I contacted the company in question and I asked about the possibility of maybe slightly customising a clock which they sold regularly on their website. And the fruit of this conversation is what you can see before you here, and the company in question is Bad Dog Designs. Now at the same time I was also looking for a new Commodore 64 as a focal point for this room, but I really didn't know what I wanted until I saw one day a carved wooden C64 on Google. Now this really set me thinking, so I contacted Paul, who was the craftsman at Bad Dog Designs, and what he thought about the idea of making a Commodore 64 into a kind of wooden Edwardian writing desk. Now straight away Paul liked the idea, but the great thing about Paul is that he comes back with some brilliant ideas of his own, far better than anything I could have even considered possible. And Paul straight away suggested the idea of making the Commodore 64, rather than just being, a wooden cased keyboard, into an actual fully fledged laptop. And in keeping with its accompanying Amiga clock, this laptop was of course to be embellished in the steampunk aesthetic. Now this 64 is fully functioning in that it has its own screen plus its own set of speakers. If you look at the two front custom brass grille plates at the front, they hide a pair of speakers front firing, and then on the right and left of the screen you can see a pair of grills at each side which also house side shooting speakers. And there, the controls for the screen and the speakers can be seen at the left hand side of the screen, surrounded by this custom brass plate. Now the screen itself is currently set to 4:3, but for those people who have grown up in a world of widescreen, then this can easily be changed. The original Commodore 64 red power LED has been replaced with this glass tube fixed into a brass pipe and contains a nice bright green LED. Now if I turn off the power, switch off the monitor, close the lid on the Steampunk 64, you can see that unquestionably it's as beautiful closed as it is open. I find it an amazing piece of furniture just to look at on or off. And then if we look to the top, you'll see, which simply had to be there, a custom brass plate featuring the year it was created and my initials. Now a Commodore 64 is meant to be enjoyed and played, so let's take a little look at it on. The screen and speakers of the Steampunk 64 have been directly connected to the motherboard, and small phono connectors have been included at the rear, so if you wish you can connect a larger monitor. Now I absolutely love the Steampunk 64, and as great as it is to use and to play and even to listen to, there was just something missing, so I went back to Paul at Bad Dog Designs and explained my concerns, and he came up with this, the Steampunk 64 joystick. Now this joystick has a few extra features which I'll show you. Now you'll notice that it has two fire buttons. Now in normal practice these two fire buttons do the same thing, but if we come down to the front you'll see a small lever here. Now if that lever is flicked into its first position, this button will act in, say, platform games as fire to jump, and this will be normal fire, which saves the headache of all those Nintendo bred gamers who absolutely hate having to push up to jump. Now for me, perhaps the most exciting feature of this joystick is the mechanical auto fire. Now if we take a look, this cog on the front is the on and off and speed dial for the auto fire. When we take a look at the workings inside the joystick, crank the auto fire, Every time the pin is hit, that's a shot. Dare you add more power? Let's see. Step back. Galencia never stood a chance. And in 2020, Paul made another fantastic addition for my room. A MiSTerFGPA device housed in 1950s Bakelite. But that's a story for another day.